If you go on any social media platform, you are probably inundated with ads from marketers guaranteeing you 100 new leads this month or 50 new members or something along those lines. That's great, and it's a really important step in the journey. However, not all of those leads are going to immediately convert to students. And if you don't have systems in place to retarget and re-engage those leads at every step of the journey, you're potentially missing out on thousands in lost revenue and tons of new students. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can start to do that, how you can automate some of those systems, and what a big difference it can make to your school. So let's dive into it now. So the first thing I want to show you is a very typical example of a school, okay, and how most schools are operating. So right here at the top, we have our market. That's kind of everybody who's potentially interested in classes in your area. And obviously it's really important that we put information in front of them, which develops the relationship and gets them engaged. But at some point we want to start converting those people into leads. So getting them to request free trials or take a step to reach out to us to find more information about our classes. But that's not going to be everybody. You're going to lose a portion of those people. And typically for, it's going to be around about at least 50%. It'll actually be way, way higher than that. But it's a good kind of starting number that we can work with. Now, from those leads, what your next step of the journey is, you want to actually get them to book that trial, to make that commitment to come in and try a class. And you'll probably get around about 50% of those on average. From that point, they're going to have to go through your trial process, and you'll probably get about 50% of those signing up, which leaves you with about 13 students at the end of the day. It's 12.5, but we can't have half a person, so we'll go with 13. That is a very typical setup for a lot of people, okay? Industry average is typically around about 50%, and that's the number that you should start shooting for. However, if you look at every step of the journey, you are losing potential students, okay? Particularly in these two steps right here. And that's really important because what you can do is you can start to re-engage those people. So let's look at a better way that we can do this. So this is a slightly different look at what you can do. So I'm going to assume that these are like 100 people coming to your website, right? Now, obviously these numbers are fictitious. The number of going to your website is probably going to be more than that, or they're engaging you with a lot more than that, but it's a good, easy way to start looking at it. So what most people do, as we said before, is everybody goes to your website or a landing page or whatever, they drop off, they're never heard from again. But what we can do is we can retarget these people, particularly in things like Facebook and Google. You can set up pixels, if they're opted in obviously, that can then send them an ad. For example, someone comes here with a basic ad that's talking about, I don't know, getting in shape or how your classes are going to help kids, but they leave without ever requesting any information. Okay, what we can then do is show those people an ad which says, hey, did you forget something? Are you still interested in a free trial at our academy? Click the button below and you can get one right now. Or you add them in a little bit of an extra incentive like 7-day free trial. And then that will convert them into leads. That will convert a portion of them into leads. They've already shown an interest. Maybe you offer them a slightly better offer just to push them over that edge. That gives us our leads, the people here. Now in those leads, a lot of people, what happens is, a lot of like schools, all they ever do is only the people who are ever interested in a trial, they wait for them to reach out. So someone comes in, requests information, says, hey, I'm interested in your classes. And the school might respond back saying like something like, hey, how are you doing? Yeah, let's get you started. There's no further relationship. If someone doesn't ever take the next step to actually contact you, nothing's ever going to happen. So what we can do is everybody goes in there, we start to nurture them. Okay, we take some time, we spend some energy, we educate them about our classes, our academy, what it's going to do for them. We send them some testimonials. Again, we might send them like an extra incentive of something we're doing, whatever they might find interested. And we nurture them a little bit further, and then we get them to convert, when they're ready, into more trials. I often talk about this, but the longest that I've ever had someone on one of my lists, someone who's interested in my classes, is 450, I'm going to say 458. It was for over 450 days before they went from that initial step of requesting a trial to actually trying a class. The reason they did that is because I was in front of them all the time. Okay, they were always seeing my content, they were getting emails from me. If they were on Facebook, they were being retargeted by my ads. So eventually when their time was right, when they were ready to try a class, we were the first point of call. And of those trials come in, and you're going to get three different types of people. You're going to get someone will make a trial and they won't show up. Okay, someone will make a trial and show up and join. Someone will make a trial, show up and not join. Okay, if they join, that's great. They go on to the next part of the sequence where they are, nurtured further to make sure we're bringing them into our community. They're getting the most out of the classes. We're helping them make the most out of their training with us. If they either don't show up for their trial or they come to a trial and don't sign up, then we need to use that nurture process again. So we send them more information about our classes. We reach out to them and say, hey, I hope you enjoyed your trial. Would you like to arrange another one? Oh, we've got this special offer that we're running right now. Why don't you come in and try out our class? We have this special event happening. And we reach out to them further, and then we develop that nurture and we increase our sign-up rate. The other thing that we could do at this point as well is look at our process of how we are signing up people and try to improve it a little bit. Like I said, the industry average is about 50%. If you can figure out ways to make that trial even better for people, improve the experience to them, give them a better understanding of what you're doing, talk to them better in your language, you're going to increase your sign-up. So by doing all of this kind of stuff, let's say, we had 100 people come to our website or our landing page or check out our ad or whatever, and rather than 50, we get 60. So that's only an increase of around about 10%, which is really easy to do. These people have already kind of given that commitment. They've already shown that they're interested in your classes. Okay, they are ready to go, right? You just need to do something else. So it's a pretty easy group of people to start retargeting. They then become leads. Now, same thing happens. Some of those leads drop off, but rather than it be a 50% conversion, so we had 50 leads, 25 of them booked trials, we now have a 60% conversion. Okay, that is 60 to 36 trials because of all the nurture work we've done. And then the same thing, of those trials, rather than it being a 50% conversion from trial to sign up, we're now at a 60% conversion from trial to sign up, and we have 22 new students. So just adjusting these, working a little bit on these different areas and a little bit more nurture work, we've actually just simply doubled the number of students we're getting in a month. That is without any further marketing activity. That is the crucial bit. Like, you're doing all the work on this top end, and you could you could do tons and tons of work and loads of effort, and let's say you increase this number to 200 leads, right? 200, 50% of those is 100, 50% of those is 50, 50% of those is 25. Okay, great, but that's loads and loads of work, and it still means that you're missing out on tons of potential students by only having industry average conversion rates. You do this work here, essentially you're getting more bang for your buck. You're converting more people into students who are showing they are ready. That is a crucial thing to understand, okay? Now, there's lots of other parts that go into this in terms of like the way that we structure our either our forms or our intro process or our nurture process, but that's the overall view of what we're trying to do. And then all we do is we test different areas, we build it out, and we keep trying to improve it. We treat it like a bit like a game, just like anything else. We're trying to get the high score. Okay, our industry average where we start working from is 50%. Our goal is then to beat that, to get to 55. If I get to 55, how do I then get to 56 or 57 or 70? And we keep working up that way. And as long as we're tracking the process, it's pretty easy to do. Now, there is a really cool thing that we can do. Okay, there's a really important part that we can use. A lot of this stuff in here, the retargeting and the nurturing stuff, can be automated like 80-90%. So on Facebook, Google, very, very easy to automate through like pixels and tracking and stuff like that. They want to make it simple. So providing that on your landing page, or you can do it within, so everybody who sees your form, for example, you can create custom audiences. All you do is show them that ad. So you need two steps. The first one is everybody who sees that form, that needs to be a custom audience. The second one is there needs to be a second custom audience for everybody who's filled out that form. Then when you're creating your ad, your retargeting ad, you use your custom audience of people who've seen that page and you exclude everybody who's opted in. That means you're only getting the people that are really interested, that have shown a very big indicator of interest that they want to start your classes. Okay, really, really simple. The next step is this trial, this nurture from lead into taking the next step of a trial. That can all be done through email systems. So when they sign up for a form or opt in at your website, they automatically go into a welcome sequence that educates them about the classes. Okay, that could be 10, 20 days, whatever it is. 30 days is a good place to start. And it just nurtures them about the academy with the goal of getting them into a trial as quickly as possible, because we want to shorten down that time between the two. At that point, like if they haven't opted in straight away, then you might want to put them onto like a broadcast list or a longer list, which is more about educating them. And that can be done pretty simply as well, which we'll talk about in a few moments. So that's all good. The only part that really can't be too automated, because it does require a little bit of a personal touch, is like the setting of the appointment. You could have a way to do it on your website. That's actually something that we're going to test in the very near future, a way that people can click a button and start to set up an appointment for us to then call them. So we're helping them make that decision. We're trying to reduce that friction of making the trial and the actual sign up and intro process. There's not really any way that we can do that. We can automate if they miss a class or if they don't sign up, just by doing things like creating simple tags in their profile or starting other automations. So for example, if someone they set up a trial, but they don't actually attend, what we do is we go into their profile, we add a tag that starts a new automation, which says something like, hey, we had you scheduled for a trial today. I noticed you didn't turn up. Is everything okay? That could be the whole email. And there might be a few follow-up points from that, and then they might go into your general nurture broadcast sequence after that. Okay. Same if they don't sign up. It could be something very similar. So we add a tag to their profile, which says something like, thank you for coming in for your trial today. I really hope you enjoyed it. I just wanted to know, what stopped you joining today? Or is there any further information you need about starting classes? Whatever it is that you start to put into that email that then re-engages them to come back in. Or it might be simple like, hey, really hope you enjoyed the class today. Would you like to come in for another free trial? I know you're a little bit unsure about whether our classes can help you. Would you like us to set up another free trial for you? And you can push them in that way as well. Okay, so very simple to do. And like I said, most of it can be automated with minimal human interaction, which is really important for most instructors because they're so overworked. You don't want to have to do all of the legwork, all of the labor, and every time. Because if you think about it, the majority of your conversations with new students go pretty much the same way. Like they do. It's just the simple thing that they do. Everything is kind of the same. Like they want to ask the same questions. They have the same problems, the same issues. They need to know the co-location. You can combat that through email automation. And people will read it. Like our typical, our first week of our first autoresponder sequence gets somewhere between like 80, like it starts at very high at like 90+% open that first email, and it will drop off to about 70% after a couple of weeks. That's great. That means almost everybody's seeing those emails, which is fantastic. They're getting the information, and then we're converting them at that point onwards. So that is very, very cool. Now, you might be sitting on an absolute gold mine and not know it. Because if you've been doing any kind of lead capture system, you are going to have a ton of people who are in that system that are just waiting for either a special offer or a little bit more information, something that's relevant to them to push them over the edge to make a trial. So for example, right now in my one of my CRMs, we use two. One of them has 763 leads that are interested in classes but haven't taken the next step to join. Okay, and like I said, you've probably got something the same. It might be in like a proper CRM that you use to schedule trials, might be in an email service provider, something like ConvertKit. You might just have them on a Google Sheet, you might have them handwritten forms, anywhere, right? All you need to do is take all of those leads and start talking to them again. I guarantee you'll get people who immediately are like, oh yeah, I was interested in starting classes. Maybe I'll reach out and set up to them if you do a good job. And all that needs to be is like, hey, I've been not been doing a great job about talking to you about our classes. I'm going to start sending you more information. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you don't want to receive this information, just hit this button and you'll be removed from our list, and you go from there. Easy to do. And then all you do is you keep sending them emails every day, every other day, every couple of days, whatever is a schedule that works for you, and you'll gradually nurture that relationship. So the point that 458 days later, when they're ready, they come into your academy. The other really, really, really cool thing, if you're just starting out now, is you take every one of those emails that you're writing currently and you create an autoresponder. I talked about having that kind of general broadcast list for people once they go through your initial sequence. What you do is you build out an autoresponder based on these things. So someone gets your initial campaign, which is all about getting them in for a trial as quickly as possible. Then they go on to your next sequence, which might be, at one point I had a 180-day sequence built out, which is just all about nurturing them, educating them on your academy and your classes with very soft call to actions like, hey, if you're interested in getting started or you're ready to get started right now, just hit reply and let's talk. Simple call to action at the end of it. You build out that sequence that someone gets automatically. Easy to do, take you some time to do, but it's, you're already going to be sending these emails, you may as well build that next part of the sequence. So, a little bit of homework for you if you want to start implementing this. First thing you're going to do is you want to be thinking about building out like your retargeting campaigns on Facebook. Okay, that's a slightly different topic than this. What we need to do is get all of those leads that have requested a trial, more information, and get them into some kind of email system. You're not going to be able to use Gmail. You're going to have to use something like a proper email service provider. Okay, next thing, step 2, start talking to them regularly about anything you like. Benefits of your classes, what makes you different, any offers, anything else that they might find useful about your academy. Okay, and then step 3 is you use those emails that you've written and develop an autoresponder over time so that, once someone goes through your initial new welcome sequence, they have a 90, 180, 360, however long you want it to be, sequence on the back end that they go through until either it runs out, okay, and ideally you should be adding on to the end of that sequence all the time, or they decide to unsubscribe and are no longer interested in your classes, or they try a class and move to the next step of the journey. So hopefully you found that hopefully you found it interesting, but hopefully you found it useful. And if you need a little bit more help in this kind of lead generation or remarketing or retargeting, send me a message at Tom@Escapology BJJ and we can talk about it. Hope to hear from you soon. And if you have any questions, let me know.